Good evening. My name is Terry McLaughlin. I sit on the board of Compañeros, Four Corners Immigrant Resource Center, and I'm delighted to have this opportunity to talk to you tonight. Compañeros empowers the immigrant community in the rural Four Corners area. It helps them to lead fulfilling lives, to achieve self-sufficiency, and to become active members of our community. This is our mission statement, and we've been dedicated to it for the last 2 decades. Pandemics like COVID impact marginalized populations at unequal rates. Per 100,000 people, 20 white Americans will die from COVID. But for African Americans and Latinos, that rate increases to 61. That's a 205% increase. So in other words, COVID not only impacts their pocketbooks, but it literally kills them as well. Compañeros has watched this tragedy unfold from the ground level. In response, Compañeros began working with local partners to purchase and deliver food to the doors of the immigrants. I remember one single mother who was terrified of going shopping because she didn't want her 2 daughters to get exposed to COVID. Her 2 daughters had asthma. Another young family felt trapped because of something called the no public charge rule. This rule was actually implemented in 1880, but the current administration is trying to turn up the volume on this rule, which makes it difficult for immigrants to access any public services. This family didn't feel safe going to the food bank because doing so might jeopardize their future ability to obtain legal status. As we delivered food, we saw people and families, including elders, who needed financial help. And due to the loss of jobs, many couldn't cover their rent. They were going without medicines and treatments. There were things like insulin and dialysis that were going by the wayside. And the stimulus checks that helped many Americans, the immigrants were blocked from receiving. Stimulus checks have helped many Americans, but immigrants and their U.S. citizen children were blocked from receiving stimulus checks. Undocumented workers and their families who pay taxes were excluded from receiving stimulus checks. Compañeros responded by reaching out with partnerships to larger organizations and distributing aid to families who did not qualify for the federal stimulus program. Alongside Left Behind Workers Fund, Compañeros was able to distribute $112,000 to immigrants in the Four Corners area. In addition to responding to COVID-19, Compañeros is thinking about the future. We're building a foundation. In July, we received a 4.5-year grant from the Colorado Trust. This grant will allow us to address some of these health inequities by designing programs that focus on the social determinants of health. We also received a grant from the Colorado Bar Foundation that will permit us to certify a board member with the Department of Justice. Once trained, we will be able to represent immigrants in immigration court and help them fill out legal forms. In addition, this board member is a professor at Fort Lewis College, and he will offer classes qualifying students to process immigrant paperwork. We've recently increased our staff size by adding a program manager, an immigrant herself. She's dedicated to connecting the immigrants to the services they need, as well as designing programs specifically for the immigrants. La Escuelita is such a program. La Escuelita is an after-school tutoring program. It was designed for the children of immigrant families in the West Side Trailer Park. It was designed to empower the students and to keep them from falling behind as learning moved online this spring. Quickly, we realized that there's a permanent need for La Escuelita services, which is why we're asking for your support tonight. Your financial support will help cover not only La Escuelita programming, but will purchase other expenses like pens and pencils, whiteboards, and other related materials. Most immigrants come to the United States with a common dream, and that's improving the lives of their children. Through La Escuelita, Compañeros is committed to supporting that common dream. And if you support us tonight, you too can be part of that dream. Thank you.
Yo te quiero más que